Tommy Rex, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now, here's your host.
The Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival returns May 14th through 17th with My Chemical Romance, Tool, Bring Me the Horizon, and Shinedown. Plus, Pierce the Veil, Good Charlotte, The Offspring, Sublime, Godsmack, Breaking Benjamin, Marilyn Manson, and so many more. Sonic Temple in Columbus, Ohio, May 14th to 17th. Passes on sale now for as low as $1 down at sonictemplefestival.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle, and I've already been yapping it up a little bit with an old friend. It's always good to catch up with my buddy Trent, man. How you doing, Trent?
I'm well, Bill. Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know you got a lot of stories, so I'm excited to share a little bit about your journey in the music world. Usually when I have people on for the first time, I like to go way back. So when you were a little kid, when you were a little Trent, do you remember what you originally wanted to be when you grew up?
Exactly everything I did. It's funny you say that because in high school, I had a friend, Aaron Muskovich, and his mom, she was from Germany. She was really cool to all of us. She was like the neighborhood mom. And she was a tarot card reader, I believe. And I'll never forget her reading my cards and then remembering like 20 years later, everything she predicted came true in my life. She knew that I wanted to be in the music business somehow. I have been. I met everybody I loved growing up, from, Kiss to Van Halen to Aerosmith. Like, I never dreamed I would ever have met or worked for or gotten to know any of these people. And I've been really blessed to be able to do so. But as far as going way back, my first gig is, I guess, in the industry per se, was at Aero Music Distributing in Solon, Ohio. In high school, I worked in a warehouse. My dad had some friends in the record business, and they put in a good word for me and gave me an opportunity there. And that was pretty cool. I got to see how the whole distribution thing worked and everything. And so, yeah, that was pretty awesome, And I mean, There's been so many things since then. I wouldn't even know where to begin next, gosh. Yeah.
Well, like you mentioned, so, as when you were young, you had the tarot card reading that kind of predicted all this, which is wild. That's the first time I heard that. But what attracted you like early on in the house to like music? Who were some of the earliest like bands that you got into?
I'll never forget one of the youngest memories musically that I have was my dad used to have these like 45s and a record player and stuff. And I was so fascinated by them and how they spun around and stuff, And the first one I remember ever playing was Leader of the Pack. And it had the intro with all the engines roaring and everything. I just thought that was the coolest thing ever, Fast forward to like 10 years old, and my grandparents took me to Sears to let me have whatever I wanted pretty much for Christmas. And so, actually, it was my birthday. And I was like, well, I don't know. We're going up the escalator, and that's where the record department was. And we got to the top, and there was this huge display for Kiss Alive 2. And I almost fell over. I was like, oh my God, what is this? And so instantly became a huge Kiss fan, trust me. And I've been ever since, really. But, the 70s were just an amazing time. They were so, you didn't even think they were real. They were like superheroes, And I guess that shows the naivety of being young and growing up and seeing, that all happen. But yeah, that was pretty cool. I've gone on to do a lot of other things. I mean, I'm sure you're probably familiar. I had a magazine that started in the late 80s called US Rocker. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I remember US Rocker. I was going to ask you about that. Like, like in the timeline thing, like, so you worked at Aero Records for a little bit. And then when did the inspiration to start US Rocker happen?
It was years later. I did the whole thing where I managed bands locally, played in a band myself. um, I was a part of the Belkin Concert Club, so I got to get really great tickets for concerts and stuff. I was pretty blessed. My dad knew a lot of people in the industry and introduced me to a lot of them, which helped us out a lot. It continued to through the years, just like we can talk about later Peabody's and what I did for them regarding that. Um, yeah, I forgot where I was going with it, but
The U.S.
I,
rocker.
yeah. Oh, right. I'm sorry. Yeah. So that was a blessing too, because my friend Brenda Mullen and I started it. We had a third party, Daryl, I think his name was, but he was only there for a minute. But we put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and money into that, man. And a lot of people supported it, and a lot of people didn't. We had competition. We knew it. We didn't care. We were young. We were using it. We were using floppy disks and a Mac, going to Kinko's in the middle of the night to print everything out and paste it down so it went to the printer on time the next morning. I mean, hanging out at Flashes and getting exclusives on everything. It was a really, really exciting time. The funny thing about US Rocker, eventually Brenda sold it off to our friend Sean, and Sean and I have been talking recently because he lives out here in LA now, and the Cleveland Public Library is doing something. I can't talk too much about it, but they're doing something really special that starts in 27 that we're actually going to be a part of. As a result, the people that we're dealing with have submitted US Rocker to the Library of Congress, and they've accepted it. So that's a pretty awesome thing, and I'm really honored that happened. We've also had Anastasia and Sean and somebody else donated like every issue of US Rocker we ever did to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as well. So that's pretty cool. And they accepted that, and but it was really cool. I mean, with US Rocker, I got the opportunity to work with Concrete Marketing in New York City. And it was a really exciting time because we were helping them break bands like Pantera, White Zombie, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, like all these groups that went on to be really big. And I actually worked as a representative for their foundations forums that they would have in Los Angeles, which was like a yearly music convention. They were really, really cool, really cool. And so that was really cool. And like I said, Brenda had passed a few years back, so we're also going to do a tribute to her when this thing comes out that I can't talk too much about yet. But there is probably going to be a best of US Rocker come out, and it's going to be like the highlights of, I don't know, 10 years of a magazine or so. So that I can say.
Nice.
And we're being included in some really cool things that I never ever would have dreamed of or thought even this far afterwards would ever happen. But I'm very blessed and very, very honored that they're happening, and I will definitely keep you abreast of all that situation as it arises.
Yeah, for sure, man. Especially, hopefully, it brings you in town for it as well.
Oh, it will. Yeah, there will be a pretty big event actually.
Nice.
And I'll let you know when I know more things on that. From what I understand, it's January or early part of 27. So
Nice. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that. Just in time for you to experience the Cleveland weather again.
yeah, it's funny because people find out I'm from there, and I actually defend that city a lot because people always talk crap, and it's like, have you ever been there? Well, no. I'm like, then how the hell did you know what you're talking about? Like I'm very defensive when it comes to people talking crap about my hometown, because I'm proud to be from there, man. I wouldn't be where I'm at without everything that I did growing up there, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm really proud to be from Cleveland. Not sure where we're going with that one. Sorry.
I was reading something, and it's funny that when I saw this name, now, was there a point in time that you worked with the band Liquor Suite?
Absolutely, yes. I was their first manager. I
Okay.
love them. I love them. I still love them. I see Roz out here, Russell. He's in a band called 72 Rust, and I go see them when they play like the Viper Room and stuff around Hollywood. I just saw him a couple months ago. I usually post it on my Facebook page. Dave Fans, the singer, he's in Akron. He's got a cover band, Modern Vinyl, that they play out back there. Chris Torok, he's in a band. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name. Almost Famous, maybe.
Almost Famous.
Like
Almost Famous.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened to the other guys, but yeah. Oh yeah, good times. Yeah, back in the Akron Agora days, and Ramones and Akron. Yeah, it was good times.
Yeah, I brought that up because like I grew up in the same neighborhood as Chris, and
Oh,
I went to school with his sisters. While he was out in L.A., they would talk about their brother, and then when he came home, we started hanging out. We're big like wrestling fans, and we go to like wrestling events together. Me and his little brother Nate and stuff. So
cool.
yeah, I see him every so often here locally. Yeah.
Dude, for sure. Tell him I said what's up, man. I love Chris. He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Even after Liquor Sweet, he did some really cool stuff with Cece from Poison. He was in a band with him.
Yeah.
Joey C and the Glory Hounds. Yeah, that was a cool thing too.
Yeah, I remember that. And then, as you were working around town here, wasn't there a time you worked at the Cleveland Public Hall as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, I did actually. Well, actually, what it was is I worked at the Gund Arena for the Cavaliers in the ticket office. I was part of their ticket union, and we would go to different venues. Like my mainstay was Gund Arena for a long time, but then I went over to CSU Convocation Center and ran that box office for a minute while they had let the woman go or something that was there. And until Joe, who may even still be there, came, I was the box office manager in between for less than a year. And then I got to go to the Public Hall Music Hall Convention Center. I worked with Carolyn Lone through the same ticket union. And wow, that was really cool. I'm telling you, I always wondered about that place because to me it's magical. It's got such a history. I mean, the Beatles played there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like I saw shows there growing up, and it is haunted. I'm convinced. Not in a bad way, but I would walk through Public Hall when no one was there at the end of the day to make a deposit from the other side of the building, and I always felt like somebody was watching me. And it was funny because I would be like, I'd walk faster the more I felt it to get to the other side, But it's really a unique place. I mean, the stage is the same stage for the Music Hall and the Public Hall. It opens wide up. You can see into both venues. So you close the curtain and you have one venue or the other. And yeah, man, it was a great time. I loved working there. It's really cool.
Yeah, like when you were there, you mentioned like, how the history behind it, seeing having the Beatles play there, but who were some of the great acts that you got to see there?
I got to meet Ozzy Osbourne and hang out in his dressing room for a little while. I saw Whitesnake there, The Firm with Jimmy Page. Oh God, Motley Crue at Music Hall. And it's funny that I bring this up because my friend Blaine Brenton, who's from Cleveland, is a tour manager, great guy, best in the business. He knows Nikki Sixx because he worked with Motley Crue. So I'm about to give him photos to give to Nikki of the ones that I took from 1984 on the Shout at the Devil tour for Music Hall. I didn't work there or anything then. I was in high school, but I got really cool pictures of that show. So we're going to get those to Nikki Sixx here pretty soon. So I'm stoked about that.
Nice. Now, where was I read something too that at one point you had got to be a part or in the room for Alice in Chains sound check.
That's another good one. I used to work at the Agora. I started out doing promotions with Johan, rest in peace, and Henry Jr., and went on to bartending and all that. But I will never forget when Alice in Chains played on the Dirt tour, and I was there. I was interviewing Screaming Trees, Mark Lanigan, I believe, that afternoon.
Yeah.
And so I was there, and I thought, well, I was hanging out in the office with like Sue and Johan and Henry and everybody, and I figured I'll just stay. No sense in leaving and coming back to the show. I'm just here, right? So we got the note or the message that they were about to sound check and that no one was allowed in the room. I mean, all the local crew guys, everybody that worked, nobody was allowed in that room. So I was like, bullshit. Watch me go. So I went up into the balcony, and I know if you're familiar with the Agora, I don't know if they still have it, but there was this little little box for like cameras and stuff in the middle of the upper balcony. And you would walk down the stairs and you would walk like 3 steps down and you'd be in it. So I managed to get up there and I snuck down. I had my mini recorder I was doing my interview with on me, and I had extra tapes just in case, thank God, because I recorded the sound check of Alice in Chains on the Dirt tour at the Cleveland Agora. And man, I'm telling you what, it's awesome. I'm trying to get it now. I'm trying to get it put onto like, USB or whatever, so I can actually listen to it, because I'm afraid to play it in my little recorder, because I don't want anything to happen to it. So I have to have it like professionally done. But I'm finding a lot of stuff like that from US Rocker days when I would do interviews on cassettes over the phone, of like Marilyn Manson, Paul Stanley, like tons and tons of groups, So I'm excited to hear them all again, but I'm not touching them. I'm letting the professionals do that for me so that nothing happens to them. So.
Yeah, exactly. Stay on the safe side. Yeah, it's funny. I remember that area you're talking about. I think I recorded a couple Mushroomhead Halloween shows from that spot.
Oh, right
back
on.
in the day.
That would have been a good spot to do that. That's for sure.
Yeah. One of my favorite memories from that, and I think it was when you were working with them too, which I'm sure we'll get into. But it was the Halloween show, and I happened to dress like Charles Manson that night. And I was hanging out talking with everybody, and when they were doing Blomp, when J-Man does, if it was up to me, I'd free Charles Manson, but instead he said if it was up to me, I'd free Bill Bailey, and I was just like, yes, and I got that like recorded. That was amazing.
Jason got away with words. That's awesome. Oh, that's cool. What a great memory.
Yeah. Now, you worked with, the Agora, you said, and then ended up like with Live Nation later on and the Rock Hall and stuff too, or?
God, yeah. Well, with the Rock Hall, I worked there the first couple years, and it was awesome. Everybody you can imagine was coming in that place because it was new. I mean, I got to walk around with Joey Ramone one afternoon and just kind of talk shit and walk around, and that was so cool. I met so many people there, and it was really cool. Shout out to Lisa V. She is the Rock Hall. Trust me, she's been there since day one. She's still there. God bless her. Love that girl. But yeah, there was a lot of great memories from the Rock Hall. I was lucky enough to, at one point, through Lisa, I believe, they had a local exhibit there at one point, and a couple of the bands that I managed to slip into the exhibit, being Mushroomhead and Red Giant at the time. So that was pretty cool. I don't think that the display's there anymore, but it was there for a few years, and I was really honored to have been able to be a part of having that happen, But I've seen I go back there whenever I'm in town when I can, and I've seen the progression and the changing and how it's never the same. And it's a really great place. People can talk the crap all they want, but I think the thing that upsets people is the voting part, because they always want to see somebody get in that doesn't. But if they would just focus on the Rock Hall part of the actual museum, it's really special, and people really should appreciate it, whether they've been there or not. If you know, and I know, and I'm telling you, it's a great place. It's cool. It's worth every penny. You're not going to see that stuff anywhere else in the world, a majority of it being exclusive to them, so yeah, Rock Hall holds a special place in my heart, boy. Always will. I don't care what anybody can talk any of the crap they want. I've experienced it. I know what it's all about. I met the Doors there. Well, the two of the Doors that were alive, Ray Manzarek and Robbie Krieger. That was pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, so many. I mean, the list is too long.
I think they still got like the local section though, because I think one of the last times I was there, I saw Brother Ed's megaphone from Uncle Scratch's Gospel Revival, and
I think they may have updated it. They may have updated it because that wasn't in there in the original one. I've heard that they've done something different, but they do have some more local stuff in there. I don't know if they still have the Mushroomhead and Red Giant stuff or not, but they did at one point, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They had Jeff from Mushroomhead's Boots, I believe it was, and then the welding mask from the cover of the first Red Giant album. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And then, I mean, going back to Alice in Chains, they had the puppets still on display there and everything.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah. Right on.
Yeah. Now, we've already touched on Mushroomhead a couple times. Yeah. And I know you worked with them, but before that, you said you worked with some other local bands. Like who all did you work with in Cleveland? And you mentioned Red Giant as well. And then who was the one, like, I mean,
Fatal Charm, Liquor Suite. There's so many. Not that I necessarily managed, but was involved with or helped with. Jimmy LaMarca and I from Chimera started a company at one point, but we had a third party that kind of ruined it for us. So I'm not really going to get into that, but we were working with some really great talent there too. I'm sure I'm going to forget, a lot of them. I don't remember, all of them, but there were a lot, and I really believed in everyone I worked with, and it's funny because I've gotten to meet a lady by the name of Vicki Hamilton out here, and her stories and mine are so similar. She's got a book out that I have to recommend. Can you see it?
Yeah, what's it called, dog?
Appetite for Destruction, or Dysfunction. I'm sorry, Appetite for Dysfunction. And it's basically how she's the one that found Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Poison, Faster Pussycat, all those bands in the heyday in the 80s on the Sunset Strip, and how she would work with them and they would never sign a contract, and then they'd go on to be like, oh, we need to do something else because we're going to be bigger and we need to get a bigger manager, or stuff like that. So a lot of similarities in that regard, and a lot of other things too. But her book is phenomenal. I recommend it highly if you're even interested in that kind of thing and how the business works and what she went through. It's pretty cool. And she's
Wasn't
really
wasn't there like a benefit was that for her that you were just at recently, or?
Yeah, last month. So it was for Jennifer Perry, who she worked with. Jennifer Perry also was with her discovering these bands. She worked at the Troubadour, Avalon Productions, all kinds of stuff. And she passed away. So they had a memorial concert for Jennifer Perry. And basically, a lot of really cool bands played. The original Odin, their drummer's in LA Guns now. Their guitarist is in Armored Saint now. And then Leatherwolf, and anybody that's familiar with them, they were awesome back in the day. They played and they were phenomenal. And then they had Gilby Clarke's original band Candy come out and play. And then Guns N' Roses, minus Axl. They had Slash, Duff, Steven, and Gilby. And then Tammy from Faster Pussycat sang. And that was intense. Yeah. It was so cool. I posted video and pictures on my Facebook page.
I know. I saw that. That looked amazing. I'm bummed I wasn't out there for that.
There's so many things that happen out here that are kind of exclusive that are pretty cool like that. I just went and saw Halloween Jack, which is the guitar player's vocalist with Alice Cooper, the bass player from Garbage, Stephen Perkins from Jane's Addiction, and Gilby Clarke from GNR. And they had a band called Halloween Jack, and they still play out. But I went and saw them in Venice too. But the thing is funny, we have exclusive things like that out here that are cool, but Cleveland does too, and partially, because of the Rock Hall, they do really special events too. So there's a similarity there, but man, these are really cool out here too. I can't even keep up sometimes. There's a lot of talent out here, man. It's insane.
I know. I love following your social media, see where you end up and what's going on out there, man.
Right
so like we've talked about Mushroomhead a couple of times, but when you first got involved with them and started actually with around the time when they started like becoming less local and more, national, what was that experience like?
Here's the story with Mushroomhead. When we were doing US Rocker, Brenda and I started managing Hatrix. Hatrix ended up becoming Mushroomhead with a few other people. JJ, rest in peace, one of my best friends. I can't really talk about it. I'll get choked up. But he was jamming with the guys from Hatrix and whatnot, and Rich Moore and all the guys. And actually, Jack's brother originally, Tom, was Murder Nickel before Pig Venus. But anyway, that was kind of happening and developed. And I went with JJ, and we met Jason and got Jason in the band, and it kind of went from there. I was with them from day one all the way up. I saw all the coolest stuff, man. I swear. I watched that band develop. I watched them become what they wanted to do. I saw them do what they wanted to do. I helped them do what they wanted to do. I helped them get their record deal with Mitch with Universal. I maintained and still maintain a relationship with Universal. A lot of really crazy shows long before they signed out at the Flying Machine and the old Peabody's in the Flats, and just a lot of really, stuff. Yeah. Oh, Fantasy, of course. Rest in peace, Michelle DeFrasia. I love you, and I think about you all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot of really special moments. And then we showcased at CMJ in New York City one year, and Anastasia came out, Anastasia Fancios, and we showcased at Downtime for some labels and stuff. And then everything, the ball just kind of rolled from there, you know, with the record deal and everything. And then we hit the road right away. Zeke Downer from North Dakota, we used his tour bus company for years. What a great guy, super safe tour bus driver, never had an accident with him driving. And we did Ozzfest worldwide. That was pretty cool. I think that was like the pinnacle of Mushroomhead for me, was like when we were doing touring for the first record on Universal, and then 13, which I still think is an amazing record. Those were really special times, and the band was really blowing up. I watched it happen, and it was very exciting to see and to be a part of. And I was their tour manager / accountant with Tommy's brother, and I was kind of the band's personal manager, and I was their the go-between everyone. And although I was never given the title properly or signed any contracts, that's the deal, and everybody that knows, which I don't care. But doing the Ozzfest was pretty special, and we did it worldwide. So we went all over the world with Ozzfest. I did a couple Ozzfest with other bands too, but you know, I was with them till like 2004, 5. I don't know. I don't even remember. But you know, eventually you kind of go your own way, and that's what we all did. But those were pretty special times, I got to say. The Halloween shows were always a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
You know, there was the whole controversy with Slipknot. It's funny because I was kind of in the middle of that with other people at like Roadrunner and Universal, and the tour manager Danny Nozell from Slipknot and I got to know each other because of it, as jokingly, you know. He manages Dolly Parton now, by the way. But yeah, that was a pretty intense thing, and I think that the Slipknot thing helped them to a degree, but it hurt them too, you know,
Yeah.
because I think too many people were focused on that, and not was actually happening with each one, because they're not really alike. Musically, they're completely different, and just because they wore masks, to me, didn't seem a bit like a big deal, because so many people had done it before. I mean, it's not like either one of them were the first one. Look at Alice Cooper and everybody else, you know. And it's funny because I remember asking Skinny at the very start of Mushroomhead, why do you want everybody to wear masks, you know? And he goes, I'll tell you why. Because it's like the Residents, you know, like if somebody leaves the band, nobody's going to know. You just put them on somebody else under the mask. How ironic that all these years later, now he's got all these new guys in masks, you know, and I don't think
he
there at all.
He was definitely planning ahead for business-wise, right?
Well, you know, he and I made a really good business team for a long time. We really did. Skinny's a smart guy, you know, and you know, sometimes even when you're smart, you can make bad decisions, you know, and unfortunately for them, some were made that kind of hurt them permanently, you know. But I guess they're still going. The people that I talked to call them a cover band because I guess nobody's in the band that used to be or something. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I don't keep up on it. But at the same time, I mean, good for them, whatever they are doing, you know.
Yeah, exactly. I hated the whole, you know, I mean, because you were there when I was coming around, you know, when I was becoming like a regular. Yeah. And you know, it became like a family, you know. It's like I had my daughter like a couple months after Jeff had his daughter, and Skinny already had his sons. So it's like we started like doing like the kids' birthday parties. Vanessa would invite me over to, you know, and it was, I mean, those memories I always like cherish. I know I was a little bit off and a mess back then, but you know, the family part.
We all were. It wasn't just you. We were all a mess.
yeah, exactly. But it was like, you know, it's been like a divorce now, you know, with everybody kind of like being caught up in a divorce. And I just, you know, I know it can't always last forever, but you know, it is what it is. I'm kind of looking forward to kind of like what they got going on with the X Faces, and you know, I hope, you know, whatever Jeff's got planned coming up, that I just hope everyone does well.
I talked to Jeff a few times over the last couple of years, and he's got a good thing going. He's got some good people behind him. I think Des from Coal Chamber might be managing him. I'm not sure. He's on some festivals. He's got some out of town shows, possible touring coming up. He's been working on music for a long time. He went through a really rough time when he lost his wife.
Yeah.
And he's bouncing back strong, man. I would watch out for him. He's going to do something. He's a little older than the other guys in Mushroomhead, so he's got a little more under his belt, you know. But he's a go-getter, man. He'll get out there and do something pretty cool, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, he may be a little bit older, but the stuff that he's you know, overcome, like you said, I mean, losing his wife, but also his own battle with cancer and stuff. It's just like, you know, don't count him out. I love the dude to death. It's his fault that I became a part of the family. He's the one that first invited me in, so everybody's got him to blame for that.
Yeah,
know?
That's cool. Yeah.
But so, you know, after like working with them and then the Ozzfest experience, I remember the one tour Mushroomhead did with like Avenged and Lamb of God, like where Mushroomhead headlined back then, right? And those guys were opening.
Yeah, it's funny because I live right by all the Avenged Sevenfold guys, so I see them a lot. I'm still really good friends with Matt and his wife Val, and their boys play baseball like 2 miles from my house in the summertime, so it's kind of cool. They always hook me up. I see them like every tour and any chance I get. You know, their last album was brilliant. This tour is awesome. You know, and yeah, they're great. That's same with the Lamb of God guys. I'm still cool with them, and like when I go see either of those bands, it was just like we're going back and have so many great stories to share and everything else, you know, and it's pretty cool. You know, I've toured with a lot of bands, so those two got really, really big, you know, of all the bands we did tour with. A lot of them did really well as well, you know, but yeah, I'm really stoked, really happy for those guys and excited to see what they do next, you know.
So then after Mushroomhead, who did you, I forget, like, who did you go on to work with after that?
Wow. Trying to remember. I mean, Kitty, 36 Crazy Fists. You know, my mind escapes me, honestly. I mean, because there's so many. I mean, the list is so long. I wouldn't even know where to start, to be honest with you. I mean, I can tell you that the first tour I ever did proper was in Europe, and it was with the Spud Monsters.
Okay, good. I'm glad you brought them up because I was going to bring it back to Cleveland with that. I just had Don on recently. He was over here on the show. Good dude. Yeah. FOOSE. He helped me. Dude, I was getting up to like a 2 energy drink a day addiction. Sugars were kicking my ass, and he got me through a water fast. And I'm like, you know, I have none of those cravings anymore. So now I'm just trying to keep the eating regimen going. I can't do the full vegetarian thing, but it's like I'm eating a lot more vegetables now. But that dude's been a lifesaver, man. I love that guy.
Well, he saved my life too, because he got me sober at one point when I was a mess. But anyway, 95, the Spud Monsters had a tour coming up, and I don't know how it happened, but they asked me to go over with them and do merch. So I was like, oh my God, yeah, let's do it. And we went, and it was awesome. We were there for months, a couple months, 2-3 months maybe or something. And oh man, we went to so many countries, and I mean the stories are endless.
Was that with Biohazard? Was that one or?
No, Biohazard. They had toured with Biohazard, I think, the year before.
Okay.
Yeah, the year before. And it's funny because it being my first tour. I mean, I had been to Europe, but not on tour. But I really wanted to see everything, you know. And same with Mushroomhead. When we would go over there, I'd want to see everything. And most of the time, the bands that I'd tour with, them or others, nobody really wanted to get up and do that stuff, you know. And to me, it was like, hey man, when in Rome, you know. So when I'm in Paris, I'm like, I'm gonna go to the Eiffel Tower. I want to go to Jim Morrison's grave. I want to do this and that. And Don FOOSE was super cool with me like that. He and I would get up in the morning and we would go do stuff. I mean, the stories that I have with that dude are awesome, dude. we went to the Eiffel Tower, and I'm not even kidding you. There was a kid in the elevator that was wearing a Spud Monsters shirt. And we couldn't believe it. We're like, oh my God, he was a Spud Monsters fan. And who would have thought going to the Eiffel Tower the afternoon of the show, we'd run into a fan going up there, you know? It's pretty cool, actually. And, you know, we got to visit a lot of castles throughout Europe and stuff. I did get to go to Jim Morrison's grave with Don. It was funny because there was a security guard watching over his grave, and there was all these candles burning and everything. And I took my, this is another good story. I took my video camera everywhere that we went on that tour. So there's a shit ton of video that Steve Swanson has, actually. And I was videotaping and taking pictures, but when I was videotaping, the guard was like, no video, no video. And Don and I were like, oh, what's he gonna do? Resurrect like Jesus and come out of the ground or something? Like, what's that all about, right? But he let us take whatever pictures we wanted, you know, so it's kind of weird. But it's funny because, like I said, with the video camera, I wanted to get everything, man. I was so excited every day just to wake up, grab my video camera, and record everything, you know. And we were in Amsterdam, and a couple things. First, Chris Andrews told me don't eat the space cakes, and they're like these brownie cookie things, you know. And I got one, and I took a bite, and I'm like, oh, these are really good. And I didn't let anybody see me, but I ate the whole thing.
Oh no!
Amsterdam. I could barely even sell merch that night. But either way, that day Don and I went to the red light district. So that's like this street in Amsterdam, and it's got like a cover on the one end of the street and on the other end. You walk around it to get into the street, and in the street is all these, like, they look like storefronts, but they're all windows, glass windows with girls in them. And you can pick any girl in any of the glass windows, and she'll shut the curtain and let you in, and blah blah blah, and that's it, right? Yeah. Not really thinking, you know, we're in there, we're checking out, like, look at this one, hey, look at that, and we were like overwhelmed. So I start videotaping. You are not supposed to do that, videotape or, you know, pictures or any of that. And so this huge guy comes out of nowhere, and he chases us out of there, and we ran, we bailed, we're like, fuck this. But the thing was, in Amsterdam, all the canals smell like shit. So here we are running, trying to get away, and we're smelling this shit from the canals, and it was just gagging us. It was pretty funny, actually. So yeah, we had a lot of good times. We were in Switzerland, and we went by David Bowie's house that he had there, and we had a Swiss chalet for a dressing room, like a shower day room or whatever. So me and Don went. It was like something you'd see out of a Swiss Miss commercial. It was pretty intense, beautiful. And there was this gorge across the street that we wanted to go check out, and there was a big do not enter sign and everything else. And wouldn't you know, the name of it was Gorge de Trient, and it was spelled Gorgdetrient. So it was almost my name, only adding an I. So we thought that was kind of ironic. And apparently, I think the Swiss Army or somebody built this thing in the gorge. It was like a wooden structure against the stone, and there's a walkway, and you could walk way deep into it. And it was really cool. It was really intense. And we just kept walking and walking and walking. And you look up, and you could see there was a road that went over the top at one point. And there was like this, it's like Alice in Wonderland kind of thing, where you could cross over this bridge, and it was like a grassy knoll, and it's hard to describe it. It was really intense. It was really cool. And we climbed up over it. We were trying to climb the mountain. Our sound guy, Tim, and me and Don FOOSE, and of course I'm videotaping. And we saw this, like, it looked like I don't know what it looked like, but it was like a cave carved into the mountain. And it was covered with like that netting that you see the army use, you know, and stuff. And we're like, what is this? And we looked in, and we're like, oh my God, there was like ammunition and guns and all kinds of shit. We're like, holy shit. And then we looked, and there's a cable that was connected to it that went all the way across the gorge to the other side up into the mountain. And you could see that there was a door that opened up where that wire went into. We still don't, I'm sure we never really found out what it was exactly, but it was pretty cool. It was really intense. So yeah, those tours of Europe with Mushroomhead 95, boy, those were really cool. I saw so much. We went to some castles, Castle de Carcassonne in the south of France. It's like a city and a castle. It was incredible, you know. the cemeteries around it with cemeteries so old like you can't even count back that far. Just great
Yeah.
tour, great tour, great guys. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
My my biggest regrets, man, when I look back when I was in the Navy and I got to go to like ports in like Italy and Greece and you know I had I I had I been like maybe sober and smart, I would actually, went and saw a lot of like history. But I
Yeah.
think the only tours I took were like the red light district tours, myself back then. So
Right on. Easy to do. Yeah.
now,
And it's go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, go ahead, tell your story. I was gonna segue into something else.
Oh no, go ahead. It's completely something else.
All right, I now I'm trying to remember if it was a story I heard about you or if it was Mark O'Shea. But there was a time, like I think in the UK, that there was some people that you had to handle some bootleggers that were trying to sell some merch.
Well, Marco wasn't there for that, but he's been there for me for a lot, and I love that dude to death. I don't think I would have been as successful in what I did if it wasn't for him. He took me under his wing when he was with like Nine Inch Nails and all these big bands. He actually gave me the time of day, and I would go to his house. He would teach me how it worked, and everything. And I remember one time I was on tour. We were in Wisconsin, and he had a business partner that lived out that way, maybe Chicago or something. And he was there, and I was having some real problems with the band and some other things, and I wasn't sure what to do, and I was really frazzled. And he drove all the way to the venue and spent the afternoon with me and got everything right, and helped me out. And I'll never forget that. He's done a lot for me other than that too, but he's a great guy, which reminds me, Cleveland has a lot of really special people like him.
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about Marco because he's just golden. But there's been a lot of people that have influenced me and a lot of people that are from Cleveland people don't know about, John Malm and Tony Ciula that, did Nothing Records, an inspiration to me, and I'm glad to know them, Blaine
Yeah. Didn't you
Brenton.
work with Tony at one point too?
Not with him directly, but with the Marilyn Manson thing. Yeah, because well, here's another thing. When we went to when we were down in Florida with Hatrix, we did this South by Southeast Music Conference in Tampa, and the bill of our showcase was Hatrix, Raped Ape, Angelic Tortures, and Marilyn Manson. And still know Jen from Genic Tortures to this day. She pierced me on with flashes. But I remember hanging out with Marilyn Manson that night, and it was long before he had a record deal. It was the Spooky Kid still and everything, and we're standing there at the end of the night, and I remember Brenda and I were talking to their manager at the time, John Tobar, and Manson walks up with Twiggy, and they're like, "What are we gonna do tonight?" And blah blah blah, and they're like, "You guys want to hang out?" We're like, "Sure," and it's this manager guy was like this Scarface dude straight out of like Miami and shit, and he pulls out this big bag of what, and we left. We were like, "Let's go, it's on," So well, we did a big story in US Rocker about it. And that's how a lot of people found out about Marilyn Manson. A lot of people don't know that. And long story short, Nine Inch Nails and Nothing, everybody found out about him, and it just kind of went from there. I'm not saying that we were responsible for all that, but we were there early on as far as all that went. But there's a lot of special people that I've worked with, and know Blaine Brenton. He's like a really well-known and really awesome tour manager accountant that I did Ozzfest with him a few times. Not with him, but when I was on Ozzfest, he was on Ozzfest too. I just saw him recently when he was with Ghost. Stu Sobel, who was originally from Cleveland, that worked at the management company we worked with Mushroomhead, Spivak Sobel out in Los Angeles. He passed away, but I learned a lot from him, as well as Steve Popovich, who was from Cleveland with his Cleveland International record label. Mark Edelman, and Alex Guerrero from Spivak as well. Like Alex was Lemmy's manager for a long time for Motorhead, and he's the guy that screwed over Lemmy. There's a big story about that, but I'm not going to get into that. But it's pretty well known. But like Lisa V at the Rock Hall, Bill Peters, the longest running metal DJ in the entire country, and he still has his show. Derek Hess, obviously the internationally known artist with a permanent display in the Louvre in France, which is a really big deal. He also at one point started doing covers for US Rocker too, which were really cool. Norm Wonderly and Jason Pettigrew from Alternative Press. Jason eventually started writing for US Rocker. Norman Wonderly has gone on to work. He's a big shot at Warner Brothers now out here. Jane Scott. I have a zillion stories about Jane Scott. One would be Slayer, Season of the Abyss Tour, Music Hall. We sat right next to each other. She fell asleep. She was out cold, which she did a lot, and people know that about her. It's okay. And basically, when she woke up,
Mark just told me that story at Michelle's wake too.
She woke up, and she's like, "Could you tell me blah blah blah?" And I told her everything that I could remember about the show, and her review the next day was everything I told her, exactly how I told it to her. It was insane. I was like, oh my God, it was a trip, So yeah, Jane's pretty cool. And then, Sean Sullivan, he's out there. He's a sound guy from there. He's killing it. He's out with Bruno Mars. He did the Roger Waters tour and live album that they got an award for. He's done Chili Peppers, like Beck, everybody. He's the man in the sound department, let me tell you. Wes Craven's from there. I got to know him from US Rocker when I interviewed him. He was originally from Cleveland and told me where he used to live on Euclid Avenue. So I went there to see where he lived, and it was really ghetto at this point. But it was a really big, beautiful home, and that was pretty cool. He was a really cool guy.
Dude, I had no idea Wes Craven was from Cleveland or grew up here.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Wild. And then obviously Billy Morris. He's the rock. He is Cleveland rock and roll, and my buddy Tim and my buddy Travis Haley, he was in Steel Panther for a long time. He's back in Cleveland.
I've seen them recently.
So, a lot of special things about Cleveland and people from there. I mean, there's tons more, but we only got so much time, right?
Yeah. Now, so when did you make the move out there?
17 years ago.
17 years ago. And what was the original thing that brought you out there?
I was working with Live Nation at Tower City Amphitheater, and they closed it. And at that point, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm not going to bullshit you. I got a call from my friend Ricky, who was originally from Cleveland, and he moved to San Francisco a few years prior. And we were out there growing some things, and he's like, why don't you come out here? Come to Cali and help me grow, or whatever. I'm like, hell yeah, dude. So I threw all my shit in a U-Haul, and I went with my friend Alexandra, and she and I moved out there and worked on his farm in Northern California for a year. We grew weed. I weed around the bush, right? And it was really cool.
Literally.
Really cool. Yeah, we had a place in the city of San Francisco at Divisadero and Sutter, and then we had a place up in the mountains in Ukiah, 2 or 3 hours north, and we would always go back and forth, and it was really cool. One of our neighbors was Robin Williams, and in the city actually.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. But then, after a year or so, things were a little different, and I realized it's not really what I wanted to do, but it was fun while it lasted, So I moved down into the city with Tic Tac, who's a friend of ours that was living out there with Ricky. He was originally from Cleveland, a DJ. And he and I moved to Ocean Beach, San Francisco. So we lived on the beach. And I only lived there for like 6 months. San Francisco didn't really have a lot to offer me. And it didn't seem like it was clicking for me, And I thought, well, what am I going to do next? What's my next step, right? Because I'm kind of a gypsy. I keep moving. So I don't know how it happened. I think I was talking to a friend of mine, and we had a mutual friend that lived in San Diego. And long story short, he called me and he goes, dude, I hear you're not really big on SF. And I go, no, I'm kind of looking to see what I'm going to do next. He goes, dude, put your stuff in a U-Haul and get down here. I got you, So I'm like, okay. So I did it. And I went down there, and man, I can't say enough good things about San Diego, bro. It was 10 years of paradise. It's just perfect there. The weather, the people that I encountered, everything about it was just great, And I did a lot of different things. At one point, I helped run a catering company, and it was really cool. And I had gone to school for culinary arts, but never decided to do it for a living. So I kind of had some of that under my belt, you know. And then it was the biggest catering company in San Diego, and we had a lot of famous people as clients and stuff too. Cher, you know, we would come up to Hollywood and cater big parties. Like, it was really cool. And yeah, one thing led to another, and now I'm up here near Laguna Beach in Cali, and I'm loving life, man. I just love it. You know, I'm not doing a lot with music and stuff right now. I'm doing some other things, but I am dabbling with some friends that are in the music and television business. So I've done some things with that. And so yeah, that's how I ended up out here. I am going to have to probably come back to Cleveland for a little while at some point. My dad's 90 now, so I'm going to have to come back and take care of him, I think, for a while, you know. But I think after that, I may move back out here. It all depends. I don't know. We'll see. You know me, I'm a gypsy. I move around. Who knows where I'll end up?
Yeah, I feel you, man. I got to do some training out in San Diego when I was still in the Navy, and I loved it out there, man. The weather was amazing. You know,
I was just down there on Saturday, and I drove by the Navy shipyard because I always thought that was so cool that you can watch them build those ships, like right there. You know, so cool.
Yeah. And made a couple trips to Tijuana with some friends back in the day when, you know, yeah, during still when I was in dollar bill mode. So, you know, I won't really go into all the details of what we did down in Tijuana, but yeah, you know, that last time I was able to come out, you know, it's like life's been a lot different. Now, you said you've been out there 17 years, you're saying?
Yeah, it's just in my 17th year, man. It seems like yesterday I was still living in Cleveland. It's crazy. The time goes so quickly the older you get, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's because I just celebrated 17 years sober now, you know? It's ironic. It was around that time I got back from my last deployment, actually. I don't know if you were still in town, like when I got deployed. 216 played my going away party at Peabody's, and then when I came back, 216 played my return, you know, welcome home party at Peabody's.
Yeah, I managed 216 back then too, actually. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And that was it was supposed to be a nice, like, honorable, like, welcome home. Thank you for serving our country, which I remember zero. Like, I was so blacked out drunk, you know. I watched the video back and I'm embarrassed, you know, but that was the last blackout, man. It was like that following morning. It's like my daughter, who was 8 years old at the time, was just like, Daddy, I don't want to see you like this anymore. And I was like, I don't want to live like this anymore. And that was like, I pinky swore I was going to change and get help. And it took some other things to happen, but it was around that time period where it's just like, I was just like, I got sober, you know, been living that life since. And that's what finally brought me out to LA, because my sponsor lives up in Reseda, and I got to meet him through COVID, through Zoom meetings. And we, you know, I just was on with him before this interview. We do Zoom and we go through the big book, and I came out there to celebrate his like 34th year anniversary of being sober. And that was the beauty of it, man. I went to the Rainbow for the first time while I was there, and I used to dream about going and getting trashed where Lemmy would get trashed at, you know. And then I go to the Rainbow and I'm attending an AA meeting up in the Crow's Nest or whatever, you know. It was crazy.
Let me tell you, I don't know if they told you about that. That's the Vampire's Lair or whatever, where the original Hollywood vampires would hang out, like Jim Morrison, Nesmith from the Beatles, or I mean from the Monkees, the guy that died from the Who, I forgot his name. Anyway, there was a posse of them. They call them the Hollywood Vampires, and that was their lair or whatever. And everybody always wanted to get up there because those people would be up there, you know. And eventually, it would be like Guns N' Roses and whoever, and that was like the spot. Like Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix, everybody hung out in that loft where you were. So that's a pretty special place. I've been there too. Yeah.
Yeah. Who would imagine my first time going there in that history, and I'm attending an AA meeting. It was beautiful, man. I loved it.
Yeah, it's funny. I wish you would have known this when you went, but the wood seats and the table and stuff in there, they have the original carvings that Jim Morrison and a bunch of people, when they carved their name in it, they're still there.
Oh, no shit. Wow. Yeah. That's amazing, man. But yeah, man, we kept I mean, I was talking with you while I was out there, but it was just like that traffic, man. It would have been I wish we could have got together, but it just like it was hell to deal with, because I was up in like Reseda, and just driving down to LA was like an hour, I think, Yeah.
And it's funny because like like when I went to the Guns N' Roses thing at the Troubadour, it took me like an hour and 45 minutes or so to get there, but it took me 51 minutes to get home because there was traffic on the way there, but not at night on the way back, So yeah, it kind of depends, but there's always traffic out here. That kind of sucks. Sometimes it looks worse than it is, but it's not pretty.
Yeah. It was definitely interesting. But I am planning on coming back out probably at the end of the year, so I will definitely make sure I connect with you this time.
For sure. I got some good spots to take you to, for sure.
Yeah, and definitely keep me in the loop when you come to town for the other stuff with the US Rocker that we were talking about.
Yeah, I'm not sure when that's going to be yet, but I will be there next month to see my dad. So I'll be there just for like a week to visit, but I'll hit you up.
Yeah, hit me up for sure, man. I'd love to get together with you. Now, before we get ready to wrap up, I want to ask you a couple questions that I normally ask my guests that I have on. We talked about all these bands that you've worked with, all this music that you grew up listening to, but who would you say are your top 3 artists you're listening to today?
Ooh. Well, it's going to be really different because I like a lot of things. I'm not like into one thing. Like growing up, I was into rock, I was into metal, I was into this, I was into that. I went through the hip hop period on like the whole thing. Who would I listen to right now? The Weeknd, Bruno Mars, Jane's Addiction, Faith No More, Van Halen. It's all over the map. It really is. But I like a lot of different music. That's the one thing I learned at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was it really broadened my horizons musically, because they would play all this music and I would hear it every day, all day when I was at work every day. And I would be, oh, who's this? Who's that? Oh, this is cool. Who's that? So at that point in my life, I realized that I didn't want to be into one kind of music. I liked everything at that point, and I had friends of mine turning me on to like Joe Warner, turning me on to like Ice Cube and NWA and the whole thing, and it's funny because like with Eazy-E, he had a connection with Cleveland, and I remember we got invited. My friend Susan Fensky, that used to work at Flashes, she was my assistant at PM Magazine, and she and I got invited to see Eazy-E at Vert's nightclub on the East Side, the Gerald Levert's club, and we got there and we were kind of afraid to go in. We were like, oh, man, this is kind of weird. And there was helicopters flying by, there was cops everywhere, and we didn't know where to park, so we left. but we did go to one of Bone Thugs and Harmony's first shows at there's an old theater on West 25th, and I don't remember the name of it. It was hardly ever used, but they did a show there. We went to that. I have pictures somewhere, and that was crazy. It was pretty cool though. Yeah, those guys are big now.
Yeah, nice. And then who are 3 people who've inspired you and you can credit for making you the person you are today?
My dad. God, that's a great question. I never really thought of that. I mean, my dad obviously comes to mind first. I think my son has influenced me to be a better person. I think, like I said, a lot of the people that I mentioned earlier in Cleveland that really helped mold me into what I became to a degree, whether it be in the business or, a person, yeah, I really can't like pin it on one person, because there's a lot of people that really were there for me in my life, and still are. And I've been very blessed in that regard, because I have had some really good people in my life and still do.
Yeah, it's hard to narrow down that third one, especially with a journey like yours, man.
Yeah, I almost want to say my sister Ainsley that passed away a couple years ago, because she was my go-to for everything.
Mm.
But yeah, you know.
And then going back to childhood, do you remember what your favorite toy was before a record player came in?
Yeah, I still have them. My original Kiss dolls from 1977.
Nice.
Yeah, my first concert, it's funny. My first concert was the Jackson 5 in 1975 at the Front Row Theater.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm old.
Nice.
That's how I learned to dance. I was sitting next to these fat black girls, and they were shaking their booty, and they made me stand up and dance with them.
Nice.
We met the Jackson 5 that night too. We met all of them, including Janet.
Wow.
And Michael. Yeah, Janet and Michael were pretty close to my age, and me and my sister Ainsley actually.
Oh wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
You get photos?
My dad had one somewhere at one point. He doesn't know what happened to it, but I have a feeling I might find it, because he and my mom both have had a lot of things that have popped up from when we were younger and stuff. So I'm sure it's around somewhere. I'd love to see it myself too. He swears it's around somewhere. So yeah, I got to find that.
You got a potential at least coffee table book or something, in your future.
It's funny you say that, because I've been told that a lot over the years. And so I'm probably going to do one. I've had a few people that I've spoken to that are pretty literate with that kind of thing, that would be willing to help me do that. And now that I've discussed that with them, it's probably going to happen. It's something I have thought about. I mean, in all honesty, like if I were to meet somebody I didn't know and they had stories like me, I'd question it too and be like, oh, really? And want to see proof. And every single thing that I tell you, everything I tell anyone, I have pictures, video, witnesses, everything to every bit of it. Every bit of it.
Yeah, carrying that camcorder around, there you had it.
Right. But I mean, even like, hanging out with famous people like Guns N' Roses early on, and a lot of different bands that I have really cool stories with, I have to be really careful and get consent for certain things. And
Yeah.
so there's a lot involved, but Simon and Schuster, I think, a friend of mine works there and says he could get me a distribution thing through them. So I'm like, wow, maybe this was meant to be after all. But people have asked me that for a long time, and I always thought that would be cool. But then there's a side of me that's like, who cares what I've done? Like, why would I put out a book? Who's going to buy a book by me? I mean, so there's that part. Like, is it worth it? Should I bother? But we'll see. It's something I mean,
I don't know. I think it'd be worth it, because even if just I guess the cost and whatever analysis, once you figure that out. But I would buy it.
Really? That's cool. Right on. Yeah, well, maybe someday I'll put it out and I'll sign a copy and give it to you. I won't make you buy it.
All right. Awesome, man. I appreciate that. And then I know things are crazy out in the world right now. Not going to get into politics and stuff like that, but any message you have for our military members that are currently serving overseas?
God bless every single one of them, no matter what is happening or who's guilty of anything or any of that. You cannot help but respect every single person that works in the military in this country, because they sacrifice everything they have in their lives to protect us and to be able to have what we have. I wouldn't be able to do what I do. You wouldn't be able to do what you do. None of us would be able to do anything that we do if we didn't have that backbone that we have. And saying that, thank you for your service, because you're one of them, and I feel very strongly about the military. And it's funny we bring that up, because then another story real quick was my friend John Zazik, that lives out here originally from Cleveland too. He and I went to the Roxy. Gene Simmons used to have these Wounded Warrior benefits, I think they were. And
Okay.
so we would go to those at the Roxy. They were really cool. And all the military guys would come free. And it'd be a lot of famous people that would always play. And those were really cool. I don't think he's done one in a few years, but yeah, he's a real big supporter of the military as well, for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Trent, man, it's always a pleasure talking with you, dude, and it was great catching up with you on the show here. I'm glad I was able to finally make this happen with you.
Absolutely.
Before I let you go, can I ask one last favor of you?
You can ask anything, Bill.
You mind cutting a promo ID for the show? Just introduce yourself, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Absolutely. Hey, my name's Trent Weller, and I'm here watching today's Boondoggle with Bill Bailey. I don't know if that's what you want or not. But
Yeah, no, that was perfect. That's perfect, man. Thank you so much, brother. It was great. And yeah, hit me up next month when you're in town. Love to see
Yeah, I
you.
will. For sure, dude.
All right, man. You take care.
You too, buddy. Have a good one. Thank you so much for your time and doing this. That was pretty cool.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Listen up! Hold on to your seats! Grab your girls, grab your beers!
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now, here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to